Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to my front yard. It's such a beautiful day. I decided to hang out outside and do the video outside today. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Rita Hickman. I'm a body-mind expert, shiatsu massage therapist, and right now I'm competing with the very loud birds in my yard because it gets pretty noisy here. Hey, Al, great to see you. So we've been working on, going through a book called Opportunity by one of my favorite marketing authors named Eben Pagan. His parents, hey Sarah, his parents were hippies from Brooklyn who moved to Oregon in order to live the hippie lifestyle. So he actually grew up in poverty, and struggling with, a parent who had anger management problems, even though, he was a hippie. And he's become one of my favorite entrepreneurs and really learned some great life lessons. Hey, Deb, good to see you. And so we've been going through some of the life lessons that he's put into his book. And these life lessons are called mental models. And they're ways that we can look at the world that give us options. Suddenly we get out of we need to always be peaceful. We need to always, hey, Rajan, nice to see you. We need to be always a certain way. Hi, Colleen. So it's really getting us to think outside of our box of how we can perceive something and make decisions. So today's topic is, are you risky enough in order to change the world? So one of the great things that I got from my history, my challenging history, is it turned me into a risk taker. And being a risk taker has been one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life. If I had to go through all of the challenges, hey Kathy, great to see you. If I had to go through all of the challenges from, family dysfunction to things that happened when I was a kid and as I got older and working through all of those issues, if I hadn't gained this ability to take risks, which put me on the edge, I would totally put up and go through all of that again to become this person that I've become. Because one of the paradigms we're talking about today is how when you take risks, that's what really makes a biggest impact in our world. And if you're looking at your life, you're probably feeling a little bit stuck. You're probably feeling like, hey Cassandra, like you wish you could find a new job, or you wish that you could get a new relationship, or you wish you could stop feeling so anxious and depressed so that you could do the things you've always wanted to do. Now, part of that is because you weren't raised with the real risk-taker sort of attitude. You weren't put in situations where you had to figure out, you know what, I got nothing to lose. Maybe when you were a kid, you were a much bigger risk-taker, but now that you're older, there's a lot to lose. You've got family to lose and relationships to struggle with and an income that you need to make. But when you lost that little bit of edge of risk-taking, you lost some of your brilliance and some of your genius. The things that make the biggest impact in the world are the stuff that's a little bit avant-garde. Like right now, cannabis and CBD and the effect it has on health. I'm fascinated by the topic, mainly because I had a brother, and my brother lived to be 13 years old, and he lived in a nursing home most of his life. He was born fine, looking fine, but my mom knew there was something wrong with him. And within the first year, he had developed, seizures, and his seizures were so bad that they caused irreparable brain damage. And he had to live in a nursing home until he was 13 years old, when he ended up having a heart attack from all of the prescription medication that they were giving him to keep him from having these constant seizuring. So as time has gone by, and more information about cannabis has come out, I found out that probably the situation and the problem that he had would have been handled if they had been allowed the use of medical marijuana for my brother. It would have turned him from this vegetable. Well, he was a vegetable, but it would have kept him from becoming the vegetable that he did. It would have kept him from his body destroying itself because of the seizuring. They've come out with lots of information about that lately, lots of lots of research that says, yes, this is one of the positive impacts. And cannabis has been around for hundreds and thousands of years. It's a natural plant. So, of course, something like that I'm really fascinated by. But cannabis isn't the most safe topic to talk about. It can get you into trouble. It's, it's only legal medically. It can cause all sorts of challenges. But the thing is when we start looking at the stuff that's on the edges, that's how we begin to find the solutions that work for us. We begin to find the things that are outside of the norm. You know, I talked a few days ago about how most solutions, most successes are counterintuitive. They go against what we believe or we're taught to believe would keep us safe, would make us productive. You know, like the great Midwestern attitude, if you work hard and you're nice to people, then you're going to be successful. How often has that really happened for you? You know, where you did what you were supposed to do and it didn't get you where you wanted to go, even though they told you it would. That's because a lot of the beliefs that we developed about how life works and how we work, we developed when we were small, when we were kids, and we needed to stay as safe as possible. The problem with that, though, is the world needs us to think outside of our box. It needs us to walk that edge between what's comfortable and what pushes the boundaries. You know, some of the really successful companies these days started with avant-garde topics. You know, things like looking or profiling the most attractive people at Harvard, or how to search pornography sites, or dating advice, which was, you know, counter what was out there at the time. And I come out with healing advice these days. Hey, Hannah Lisa, good to see you. I come out with healing advice that's very counterintuitive. Things like, you know what, experiment with getting mad and blowing up. Experiment with communicating in a way that you're uncomfortable with by having a complete meltdown. I mean, for me, walking that edge of understanding that anger and expression and self-expression in that way is really helpful for a lot of communication. I had to get outside of my box, but because I'm a risk taker, because I was put in positions in my life where I had no other choice, I was, you know, cornered like a rat in a cage, and I had no choice but to break out of my comfort zone. Oh, well, Hannah Lisa just said she's glad that I can't see her. No, I totally get it. Sometimes it's a lot nicer to just watch me when you're just in your comfy clothes and relaxed. So, I mean, it's because I was forced and cornered into a wall that caused me to become this risk-taker entrepreneur type. Because I learned that you can survive risks. You can survive bad things happening. And I learned, because I went through it over and over, taking these risks, how do you survive this high level of stress? So that's what I like to help women with, especially, is how can you be comfortable becoming the person that you're supposed to be? How can you be comfortable standing on that edge and saying your opinion, even if at least half or more of the people are going to call you crazy, are going to say that you're wrong, that you're doing it wrong, that it'll never work? Because that's exactly what will happen. The biggest challenge that we have is what my friend used to say, the crab in the bucket syndrome. Hey, Camilla. Which was, we have all these crabs in the bucket. None of the crabs can get out of the bucket because all the other crabs keep pulling them back down. You know what? If you're going to change the world, if you're going to make an impact, you've got to get more comfortable with walking on that edge, with becoming that risk taker, with doing things which everybody may disagree with. You know, one of my best pieces of advice that I've gotten from a mentor was, no one gets to tell you what you need to do in order to heal. You get to choose for yourself. So with my background, I had a lot of challenges, and I chose for myself some pretty risky and avant-garde ways in order to heal my psyche, in order to heal how I engaged with the world, and to get past those ideas that really kept me locked in and locked down, and those fears that kept me controlled. You know, I had to forge my path and say, you know what? I don't care what anybody says. This is what I need to do in order to move forward, in order to be happy, because this is the one life that I've got. And if what I do pisses people off or hurts people's feelings, then I'm going to do it in the gentlest, most graceful way that I can, but I'm still going to do it without anybody's validation, without needing anybody's approval. And if I need to walk that line and say, this is what I'm doing, and not tell anybody about it, then that's it too. You know what? We have to decide for ourselves what we need to do in order to get where we need to go, to make an impact in the world. One of the neat ideas out there is the people who are successful. Hey, Lisa, great to see you. I was just thinking about you the other day. The people who are most successful are the ones who are willing to do the thing that the other people are not willing to do. You know, if you're willing to heal yourself, if you're willing to get out there and expose yourself, like these live streams, are they all perfect? No, like 90% of them have glitches. Like today, the birds are way too loud. But I do them every day, whether people like them or not, whether it makes an impact, whether I feel like it, whether, you know, I'm in a good mood or a bad mood, because this is what I feel I need to do in order to really make that connection and get it out there in the world, irregardless of how I look like, you know, irregardless of whether it's a good hair day or a bad hair day or I just took a shower. You know, it's about taking those risks and moving forward. Now, if you have a hard time with risk taking, there is a process. I totally coach women through this. The process that you go through to become someone who can really make an impact in the world, who can really take their genius and their gifts and their skills and walk that line and be able to stand very comfortable and tall when people are coming at them and telling you that you're wrong, that you did it wrong, that you must have made a mistake, that you must be confused, that you're oversensitive, that why are you getting upset? Oh, good, I'm glad the birds sound perfect. You never know what's gonna turn out well in these things. So, I mean, you at your core get to decide what you need to do for your best interest to move forward in health and happiness and greatness, to move past the things that keep you frozen in time. I read this great article about homeless the other day. Hey, Julie. And it was a woman who talked about who had been homeless for a while, and now she was a writer. And she was talking about how everybody goes after homeless people for, you know, using drugs or alcohol or making poor decisions or using their money on things which, you know, are frittered away. And she said, you have no idea what it's like to be on the street and be cold and be hungry and be scared and have nowhere to go, and your mind feels crazy. You will do anything you can in order to feel better just for a moment, because you can't do anything or get anything done when you're overwhelmed by that paralyzing fear. So when you come up against your blocks and it scares the hell out of you, you know, it's about learning the skills and doing the things you need to do that will get you past that block. And if everybody says, oh my God, you're a terrible person for doing something like that, I can't believe you would do that. You know what? You need to keep your own counsel. I learned a while ago to not ask opinions of people that can't respect me, not to ask opinions about my life from people who don't have an idea about what I'm going through. Hey, Lavinia, because otherwise they're just projecting on the situation. Many years ago, I went to Colombia to study with the Arawaku, who were this indigenous tribe that lived in the Sierra Mountains there. And I had the opportunity to speak with one of the spiritual leaders, one of the mamos. Now, the thing was, is I'd been there, you know, for about 2 weeks. I was exhausted. It was a very patriarchal culture. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it, Hannah Lisa. It was a very patriarchal culture. They did things like you'd go to a bathing pool and you'd have to strip down naked and cleanse yourself in the bathing pool. But then the mamos would sit up on a ledge, on a cliff, and comment on the naked women in the pool. So, I mean, there were a lot of discrepancies that for me didn't fit my more liberal, my more, you know what, I've been through hardship, I've been through, being mentally, emotionally, and physically, I've been through that. And so I really didn't want or need their opinion. So what happened is, even though I had this amazing opportunity to talk to a spiritual leader, I decided not to. Because at the end of the day, I did not want their opinion on my life. Because I was the only one who could decide for me what the best course of action would be. I could gather information, I could try out different things, I could do experiments, but me at my core had to decide, even if it went totally against what everybody else wanted me to do. Like going to Columbia in the first place. I was given a month notice, I was asked if I wanted to go, and I knew everybody in my life would have a problem with it. And so I said, you know what, I think I want to go. And I spent the next, month, I literally had a month, to get prepared for this trip. I spent the next month talking to the people that I love, letting them, listening to what they had to say about being safe when traveling, giving them the respect that they deserved, but knowing that this was an experience and an opportunity that I needed to take, irregardless of what anybody else felt like it. I handled it as gracefully and lovingly as possible. And it was funny because when I first, mentioned it to my husband, who's very protective of me, I said, I want to go. And he said, well, don't expect me to pick you, to take you to the airport. And then after a month had gone by and I'd spent this time saying, I really want to respect what you have to say. I really want to stay safe. I want to go, but I also want to do it in a way that keeps us all as comfortable as possible. After that month, he says, what, you don't want me to pick you up at the airport? Of course I'll pick you up at the airport. So, I mean, if I'd handled the situation by just blowing up and being mad and doing it anyways, no matter what anybody said, no matter what was going on, then it would have caused so much more drama and trauma. I wouldn't have gone, and I would have caused rifts in my relationship that would have had taken a lot of work to heal. But instead, I had faith in that I needed to do this, and so I could go into problem-solving mode. I got out of reactionary, scared little girl Rita, and I got into, how can I problem solve this so that this can happen? How can I help the people in my life feel more comfortable? How can I get them a little bit more supportive of what I want to do? So instead of getting mad about it, I saw it as a problem to solve. How can I do this in the most sensitive way? But at the end of the day, it was me deciding for me what I needed to do. Now, if you want to make a big impact in the world, if you want to help heal people, if you want to help guide them in powerful new directions, then you need to be comfortable walking on that edge. You need to be comfortable doing the things that everybody else may disagree with, or they may say, well, that's just wrong, or that's bad, or that's illegal, or that's unethical, or, whatever it may be. You get to decide, because guess what? You're an adult. You get to decide for yourself what you need to do, and no one can tell you what you should or should not do in order to help yourself heal. You're the one who has to make the mistakes. You're the one who has to put that out there and learn from them. And maybe that's the only way you're going to do it. You know you the best. It's when we get conflicted between what everybody's telling us what to do and what we know we need to do, that's what freezes us up. That's what keeps us from moving forward. So that's my thought for today. Here's your homework. I want you to look at one thing that scares you, okay? One thing that makes you feel a little bit on the edge, but that you'd like to do. And instead of stopping with the fear, instead of saying, you know what, I'm scared to do this, I'm never going to do it, it's never going to work out, even the stuff that's crazy, maybe it's sexual, maybe it's relationship, maybe it's travel. It could be all sorts of crazy things. And the amazing women that I've met, oh my God, the stories they tell me of the things that they've done are out of this world. They're so cool. And you can be one of those really amazing, cool women who makes a big impact in the world by really owning and loving those risks that you take. Because you're going to have a lot of people who will go against you, a lot of people who don't like you, so you don't have to tell them. You don't have to tell the people who aren't going to agree with you You don't have to let them know what you're doing, because you're an adult who gets to decide for yourself, who doesn't need the validation of anybody else. Instead, find the people who understand what you're going through, who can give you good advice and help you navigate what's going on. Those are the people you want to turn to. So, homework assignment, one area that you're a little nervous or frightened about. And hey, Peggy, good to see you. One area you're nervous or frightened about, and problem solve it. At least start thinking about how you might do it differently or how you could make it happen, instead of thinking this is never going to happen. Okay? So that's your assignment for today. So comment, love, like, share. This is so important for us to get together as a community, a strong, powerful, kind community where we can support each other through taking those risks. Because if you don't take a risk, then you're really doing a disservice to the world, because they need what you know. And if you don't put it out there, you won't be able to help anybody at all. People have to be able to find you, okay? Cool. If you need any help with that, give me a call, send me a text. As I said, I do coaching around that. I do body work around it, about how we can become the full, actualized, well-rounded, happy, cool, multi-dimensional person that we're meant to be, especially woman that we're meant to be. Okay? So have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.